Hello, remember to thyself be true and to thy finances be true. We are going through the overview for March 2025. So this is how my monthly review went. So in terms of my salary, here I got a bit less on my salary. I instead got an amount of 136.24, and then I transferred money from my savings, a huge chunk that is. I transferred from my savings 25,915 rand, and then gifts I got a bit more with 1,383, and then refunds I got a bit more with an amount of 1,300. So all in all, the total amount that we are working with is an amount of 51,366 rand 15 cents. And then when it comes to my fixed expenses, my life cover is the same as 376 rand 67 cents. I did not pay for DSTV, and then my house assistant is, in terms of the total amount, so the total that I am working with is an amount of 4,376 rand 67. So the balance that's remaining from the amount of 51,366 rand 15 cents, less the fixed expense of 4,376 rand 67 is an amount of 46,989 rand 48 cents. So the balance remaining is 46,989.48. That's the balance that's remaining after my fixed expenses. So when it comes to variable expenses, this is how everything went. So groceries, food, everything, I forgot to account for the meat. So my actual spending for these two items is 5,092 rand 63 cents. And then for petrol is an amount of 2,800. Bolt, Uber, I used 355. Taxi, I used an amount of 50 rand. And then Gautrain, I used an amount of 1,726 rand. Cleaning supplies was an amount of 91 rand. And then when it comes to giving, I gave just 250, and then Standard Bank fees was 25 rand, and then Namibia was exactly an amount of 7,350. Dubai was 5,000 exactly. And then household, I used 878 rand 60. And then Time Bank fees was an amount of 3 rand. Capitec Bank fees was an amount of 7 rand 50. And then for baby, I spent an amount of 552 rand 78 cents. And then additionally, I have toiletries that I did not budget for. I used 606 Rand 97, and then eating out, which cost 269 Rand 50, and lastly the toll gate, which cost an amount of 229. So the total variable expenses was an amount of 25,286 Rand 98 cents. So from the balance of 46,989.48 to that, when we deduct the 25,286.98, the balance remaining then becomes an amount of 21,702.50. And then I do not have any debt. So when it comes to my savings or sinking funds this year, I haven't done well, but anyway, so emergency fund, I did not save anything. And then Black Friday, the roundup from Capitec for the month was 8 Rand. And then Dubai, I initially saved, but I did not. I also transferred out, so I put back an amount of 9049.05. So the total savings for the month is an amount of 9057.05. And then to that, the balance remaining is 9057.05. The balance remaining then is 12,645 Rand 45 cents. And then when we move on to my investments, I invested exactly 1,100. So it was exactly 500, 100, 500. So my balance less the investments, the balance remaining is 11,545 Rand 45 cents. And then when we move on to personal or fun expenses, when it comes to clothing, the actual spending on clothing amounted to 2,694. Grooming, I did not spend anything. And then hair salon, I did not spend anything. And then additional items was education, which I did not budget for, as 7,900. And then personal for my career coach for the month, which I did not budget for. I paid 945. So the total actual for the month of March 2025 is 11,539. So the balance remaining from this is 539, is an amount of 6 Rand 45 cents, which I'm carrying forward to April. So total income in terms of the summary, I worked with an amount of 51,366 Rand 15 cents. And then I saved an amount of 9,000 1,057 rand 5 cents, and then I did not have any debts to pay. I invested 1,100 rand, and then my savings amounted to my expenses amounted to 4,376.67 plus an amount of 25,286.98 plus an amount of 11,539. So my total expenses for the month amounted to 41,202.65. So to this I add on the 9,057.05 that I saved and 1,100 that I invested, and then to this the income of 51,366.15 less the expenses and the savings and investments. The amount left over is 6 rand 45, which I am carrying forward. I'm gonna just indicate underspent here and overspent. So when it comes to underspent, I underspent just on variable expenses, no, on fixed expenses. And then when it comes to overspending, I overspent on my variable expenses. I overspent on the savings and also on the personal expenses. So when it comes to my monthly review for March 2025, this I've filled in from the budget overview, so I'm carrying over 6 rand 45. This we've been filling throughout the weeks, and then this I've added up, and these I've also tallied up. So in terms of representation of my month, savings and investment, 20% of my income went to it, 10% went to food, 10% went to transport, 2% household, insurance and giving 2%, entertainment 24%, baby and subscription 1%, miscellaneous 8%, clothing and beauty 6%, personal and education 17%. So here is the representation of my savings and investments. This is food, this is transport, this is entertainment together with baby and subscription. This is household insurance, giving, clothing and beauty. And lastly, this is my miscellaneous, personal and education. Until next time, remember, to thyself be true and to thy finances be true.